Welcome to LaunchPad, guys. Thank you all for deciding to spend an hour with us on Friday. We know there's lots of other things that you could be doing, but you chose to be here, and we think that's awesome. So thank you, everyone. If this is your first LaunchPad that you're attending, welcome. We're a pretty casual crowd here, so make yourself comfortable. Feel free to participate in whatever way you are comfortable with. On today's agenda, there's a lot of exciting things for us to talk about today. Not only do we have Tom and Collin from the Mac Admins Foundation here that are going to speak not just to the resources that are available to all of us as Mac admins, but also what's up around the corner. We'll do a more formal introduction when we get to that. But we also, speaking about what's around the corner, JNUC is less than a month away, which is super exciting. That's always a busy time for us. We do have a very special birthday coming up. Rocket Man's own Caleb Graceheart has a birthday this Saturday, wherever he is on here. So in order to give Caleb a great birthday surprise, if everybody would unmute their mics and join us in a singing of happy birthday. I'm just kidding. That sounds horrifying. We're not doing that. It's a fun idea. No worries. But Caleb does. I figured you would hate that. I really wanted to do it, Caleb. You guys don't see a lot of Caleb. Caleb does a lot of running around behind the scenes to make things like this smooth and possible. He does a lot of running around the scenes for JNUC. So we're very appreciative to have Caleb. He doesn't get a lot of screen time, but today is a good as day as any to show our appreciation for Caleb. So happy birthday, Caleb. We appreciate you, bud.
Thank you. I'm totally eating an apple right now. Bad timing, but thank you.
Perfect. As long as
I want to note in the chat that it's Sean's birthday as well. Elfstrom, is that how you say your name?
Woo! Shmur, shmur, shmur.
That's correct.
Today is his birthday, so everyone unmute your mics and sing happy. I'm just kidding.
As we mentioned, JNUC is right around the corner. This year it'll be in Nashville. Even more exciting than JNUC just being right around the corner, we also have a number of people on this meetup that are going to be speaking at JNUC. Even if they're not currently on the meetup, some former LaunchPad presenters, such as Bill Smith, Kevin White, Kat Lawson. And you know, if they're LaunchPad and Rocket Man approved presenters, they're going to knock it out of the park at JNUC. So we're super excited for them, but it doesn't just stop there. We also have Dan Lawrence will be presenting at JNUC, as well as a number of other people that have been on our LaunchPad in the past. Dan is one of the more active members. He's a wealth of information. So if you're at JNUC and you see Dan's presentation, definitely make sure to stop by. I know us at Rocket Man, we've always really appreciated the support of LaunchPad attendees coming to our presentation. So that's an awesome thing, as well as for Andrew Spokes, Eric Landsaw, Jason Bucalo, Sarah Brown, and Todd Clark. All have at least attended one LaunchPad session. So, you know, in our books, they're as good as family. Make sure you check out these presentations if you all join JNUC. Also going on at JNUC, we will be hosting the Tuesday night LaunchPad party. We're going to be doing that at the Up Down in Nashville, which is one of those video game type bars. We're going to have some free drinks sponsored by Jamp. We're going to have some food. We'll also be giving out game tokens. We'll be doing some other giveaways. And we do this as a thing to kind of say thank you to the entire LaunchPad community for joining on these meetups. So we want to make sure that we can give back in a fun way, as well as shake some hands and see some faces that we've only met up with online. So hopefully we'll see everyone attending JNUC join us for that Tuesday night LaunchPad game night. Super excited for that. And I think with that, Chris, Caleb, did I hit all of the side notes that we intended to hit? I crossed off my to-do list, so I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's everything. We're going to have a lot of tokens. Also, please register for the event if you're coming to JNUC and plan on coming to this. I just dropped the link in the chat.
Yeah, the registration, you know, we try to be pretty chill around here. We're not going to make it mandatory, but it really helps us get an idea of, you know, numbers and who's going to show up and whatnot. So if you do plan on attending, it would really help us out if you register for the event. And if you register and don't join, also, you know, That's not an obligation. So Chris dropped the registration in the chat.
Also, we will be sponsoring a booth again this year at JNUC. So if you're walking around the exhibit hall, make sure you stop in and say hi. Love to see you there.
I think the registration portion is going to be in the little sign up portion of that landing page right next to Chris with the Apple Vision Pro. So hopefully we see everyone there if you are attending. So moving forward to the keynote portion of our presentation, we got a little teaser earlier in the meetup, very exciting. We are lucky enough to have Tom Bridge and Colin Elliott from the Mac Admins Foundation. Tom is the co-chair of the Mac Admin Foundation, the founding co-chair, and also a vocal performance major. So if we were going to sing happy birthday today, I'm sure Tom would have knocked it out of the park. He's performed at Sydney Opera House. That's pretty sweet. And then joining him is also Colin Elliott, who was not only the 2006 Time Person of the Year, but is also a senior platform engineer at Capital One and joined the board of the Mac Admins Foundation in February. So with that said, Tom, Colin, I will kick it over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Eric. And thank you so much to Chris and the entire Rocket Man team for having us here and for being, vocal supporters of the Mac Admins Foundation. So as Eric so ably said, hi, I'm Tom Bridge. I'm the co-chair of the Mac Admins Foundation. I'm part of the executive committee here. Colin is my colleague on the board and one of our most recent additions to the board this year. So Colin, if you want to give a quick intro for yourself.
Yeah, I'm Colin. I'm from Fort Worth. I've been a member of the LaunchPad meetups for a while now, but really excited to be able to support the community from the Mac admin standpoint. And we're excited to be here today and just get to talk to y'all about what some of the cool things that we offer to the community.
Absolutely. And, I was going to say each of us have day jobs. You heard Colin works for Capital One as an SR, as a endpoint engineer there. I'm the director of product management for a little company called Jump Cloud. We do IDP and device management together. So yes, I am one of those single pane of glass kind of people. There we go. We're excited to be here at LaunchPad today to kind of talk about the 2024 programs and maybe look a little bit into the future here as well. So I do want to talk about a couple of pieces of news as well as our major projects. We'll get into some of the finances, and this is where our friends at Rocket Man have been so generous, and we deeply appreciate it, as well as talking a little bit about the future. This is a forward-looking deck as well, so that is important. So we do want to say a special thanks to our 4 board members who were part of our board this past year, who have announced their retirement, and give our special thanks. Rich Troughton was our original treasurer. Now that's Diego Iaconelli. We want to thank Rich for his service. Dr. Emily Koslik-Whittle, Dr. K, as she is often known in Jam circles, was our other founding co-chair. She has taken leave of absence with the Mac Admins board and been replaced by Aaron Merchant. In addition, Jennifer Unger was one of our board members at large and did some of our scholarships and events. And she has gone behind the rainbow curtain, I believe is the current phrase for going to work at Apple. And so we had to say goodbye to her. And Sabrina Coy is the chair emeritus of the Mac Admins Foundation, and they have absconded into the higher planes and have headed elsewhere. So we want to say a huge thank you to them. This is our existing board as we started this year. Diego in the upper left, Aaron on the left, Chris Daw on the right, Gerard on the bottom, and me next to Gerard on the left. And then this year we added Becky Scott and John Malman from Leidos, and Rebecca Latimer from Thumbtack, and of course Colin from Capital One. So we have a 9-member board that serves as the steering organization for the Mac Admins Foundation. You may know the Mac Admins Foundation from our single biggest program, which is the Mac Admins Slack. If you are a member of the Mac Admins Slack, thank you. You make our community amazing and better. And we deeply appreciate it. It also comes with a very important large bill that we pay every year as the Mac Admins Foundation. What happened here was, for a very, very long time, the Mac Admins Slack was kind of operating in a gray space. We had been gifted a free Slack instance by a member of Slack's company. That was one of their benefits that they gave to their employers or to their employees, was you got a free Slack instance. And Let's just say that we were the most egregious abuse of that particular perk. And that, it was meant for organizations with less than 300 people. And well, gosh, friends, we have way more than that now. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. But when Slack got purchased by Salesforce, we took a look around and we were like, who's really good at not leaving money on the table? Salesforce. Salesforce is really good at not leaving money on the table. And we started to worry about what would happen if Salesforce kind of figured out that we had this, obscure program associated with a a 5-digit number associated with all of the people involved. Gosh, that's a lot of revenue to leave on the table. And so we started to think about it from the perspective of, okay, so we got this many people and Slack costs $6.67 per user per month. And we did some back of the envelope math and got to a number that was the equivalent of 2 Ferrari Romas every year. And so we started to think, what are the great ways to get discounts on Slack? And the answer was make a 501c3. And so as a 501c3, we're happy to say that we have paid these bills for the last 3 years. We have spent, more than $120,000 on Slack over the last couple of years because we know that the value that this provides the community. It gives us a hub, a place to interact, a place to understand where the future is, and a place to do the hard work that it is that we do every day. And so when we think about it from that perspective, powering the Slack is a really key portion of how we approach the future. So the other big question is that we have paid our last Slack invoice that we know the dollar amount for. We have a 25 invoice that's going to come to us and a contract that we need to renegotiate. So we don't necessarily know how large of a bill we're facing next year. So some other places you may have known about the Mac Admins Foundation. Over the last couple of years, we've done a couple of interesting programs. We had a great program that we partnered with Apple for to get people the certified IT professional certification. We look forward to renewing that program in future years. So if you haven't yet gotten your Apple certification, this is a great way to go about that. We're very interested in talking to people who want to get certified and who want support for doing that because those certs aren't free. And we want to really give you an excellent leg up and an opportunity as a Mac Admins Foundation member to, get that opportunity for yourself. In addition, we have sponsored, conference attendance at Macaduck in the UK, as well as the 2023 and 2024 Mac Admins Conference at Penn State. And of course, who here is familiar with the Mac Admins open source program? I was gonna say Colin raises his hand. Yep. We're very familiar with that here at the Mac Admins Foundation. They're a partner organization with the Mac Admins Foundation. We sponsored their 501c3 process and got them up and running, as well as getting them connected to the community. They now have their own GitHub space. You can read more about the Mac Admins open source project at macadmins.io. And we strongly encourage that folks take a look at that because open source is a great way to pick up amazing tools for your organization, use them in production. There are such important projects as Monkey and Nudge and other key tools here that can augment your current environment based on, knowledge and development that's been done by the community. And now it's all carries a Mac Admins open source signing certificate so that you can get signed packages for delivery within your environment, which is exciting. So we've talked a little bit about the Slack, but what else have we done? What else are we doing? And, this is all about our mentorship program. We've got a new mentorship program that we're excited to, talk a little bit about today. We have the conference and community grant program, as well as scholarships for conference attendance. We've made some real investments in operational maturity here at the Mac Admins Foundation so that we can really be a generational organization that's here to stay for the long term. And then last but not least, of course, finances and fundraising are a big part of being, the long-term home for the Mac Admins community. So new this year, we have a great mentorship program. And, I really want to take an opportunity here to, kind of highlight an important step here because a lot of organizations, I take a lot of my, stepping forward stones here from cultural references. And of course, obviously here we have Jake and Elwood Blues dancing for us, as we've thought about things over the past. Anthony Reimer is a Mac admin at the University of Calgary. and one of my best friends in this community. And he's given a number of great talks over the years. And he reminds me constantly that we have to be training the people that come after us, because we're not going to do this forever. I might win the lottery tomorrow. Wouldn't that be rad? But, you know, I don't plan to be where I am forever. And so how am I investing in the future of my organization and the future of my career by investing in the people that I work with? And so one of the best things that you can do and I want to remind this to you in the words of Elwood Blues, who said, remember, people, that no matter who you are and what you do to live, thrive, and survive, there are still some things that make us all the same. And of course, you, me, them, everybody. And that is all about growth. And so when we think about the value of mentorship in the community, what we want to do is pair experienced community members with newer community members. And we want to provide them opportunities for networking, learning, and skilling themselves up. And we want to help build a recurring cycle of knowledge sharing and engagement in our community, so that we can pair you with someone who has a lot of experience, or if you're someone with a lot of experience and wants to provide some knowledge for the future. We want to work on that from an important way of building the community that we all want to be part of, and building the community that's here in 10 years and 20 years and 30 years and 50 years. So that's a big part of it. So how does this program work today? I'm, of course, approaching this as an engineer. And so I'm going to approach this from an engineering diagram perspective. We have a phase diagram here, mentor on the left, mentee in the middle, MAF committee on the right. And your mentors will make applications to the MAF committee. And we open up those on about a quarterly basis. Mentees, of course, will open up an application and apply to the MAF committee. We'll give acceptance first to the mentees, and of course, acceptance back out to the mentors. And then we will go through the process of mentor selection by the mentee. And so the mentee is in charge of, here's a great list of people by their skill sets. Who do you want to learn from? What do you want to learn? How do we get you to match to the right people? And then, of course, we get a bi-directional arrow that says the mentor and the mentee will work together for a period of time, do some skills transfers, have some meetings, talk about goals, talk about process that goes forward. And that's how we're going to move forward together. So the pilot program is running now. It's going to run through the end of it's going to run through the end of next month. I need to update this slide. And we're going to have a learning period to follow from the very first pilot program. And so we're going to evaluate, hey, how are we going to get there? We've got about 40 mentees and 50 mentors. There was still room when we did these slides in July, but we're closing now. So we'll open up the next round in February of 2025. And so what do we need from our mentors and mentees? We really need a little bit of time and a little bit of trust. And we're going to be taking people from all experience and knowledge levels, because mentorship is about growth. It is not about magic skills. That's the really important thing for everybody out here who knows, is that none of us did this by accident, and none of us did this by magic. This is a place where your skill set gives you the kind of growth and perspective that you need to move forward. And so really, if we're thinking about it from that perspective, we're here to give you a hand, and we're here to give you a hand up towards the pinnacle. And we hope that everybody here who experiences that growth and has something to share will share it out with their community. And that's a really important part of the future. So who's ready for mentorship? Because, you might be thinking, Tom, I can't be a mentor. I'm not a superhero. And I say, whew, thank God, because no one's a superhero. You're good at something, though. If you're here, you've got a commitment to learning about the platform. You're here to learn from the community. You're here to learn from the Rocket Man folks who are out here to change. You have already demonstrated the most important skill that you need to have here. And that's engagement with the process and engagement with the community. So you also might say, I have yet to become a master at this particular technology. I can't be a mentor. And I said, if mastery was the only qualification, we'd say so, but it's not. So that's really an important message to take away too. You can be a mentor, I promise you. So I'm going to leave this QR code up on the screen for just a little bit, but we're really encouraging people to join the program and tell a friend and to build the future of this community together. And so take the opportunity to scan this form, take a look at the spot, and apply to be a mentor in the future. We'll be selecting our next steps in probably about 3 months. And so we'll have a lot more to say after the first round of the mentorship program is closed. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Collin and talk a little bit about conference and community grants.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Tom. So, this goes right along with what Tom was saying about mentorship, right? Conference community grants is all about growing. Like we have a drive here to help Mac admins grow in their careers, which includes sending admins to conferences, because not every org can afford to send admins to conferences. Some admins are looking for work and still want to upskill their careers. So while much of the content can be viewed online afterwards, there's a not insignificant amount of mentorship and hallway learning, also known as the hallway track, that occurs when you're in person at these conferences. And we believe these are absolutely invaluable to the process of growing as an admin. So how do we do this? We have offered community and conference grants. So this year, we expanded our attendee grants to MACADUC, which was phenomenal. It's our first conference that we sponsored overseas. We expanded our offerings at Penn State. We had a party, a get-together with the Mac Admins Board who was able to attend, just highlighting, and we're out there, had a session, this session actually, on the state of the Mac Admins Conference, and really try to create some new experiences and processes. We're in some interesting times. We get a lot of applications, and some aren't real people. They just want the money. So what are we doing about that to make sure that we're being responsible with what we have to steward, and how to make sure that the right people get in? Some people just want the money. So we trust but verify. So what does that look like? And what does that look like going forward? The conference grant experience is changing going forward. We're looking at the Slack account creation date of the applicant. We want to see LinkedIn profiles. We want to make sure if there's little or no record of a person's existence, the LinkedIn profile is kind of like vague. If they're not really responsive to live meeting requests, that's not somebody we're going to be able to give that scholarship for, even if they have a really great application, because we really want to make sure that those who are applying really do get, or they're going to take advantage of it and go to the conferences and build those connections.
Yeah. And this is one place where we had a little bit of a learning experience this year, because we had somebody who had a really great application, we'd had really great email conversations with them, and they were like, oh man, I really can't make the live meeting. And so gave them the benefit of the doubt, and sure enough, didn't show up to the conference, took the money and ran. And so we've started to look at this, and we started to look at after this happened, we looked at the applicants for this past year's Penn State conference, and tried to validate, hey, look, we did a blind evaluation of the applications, because we don't want to have what's the word I'm looking for? We really want to essentially approach the applications from a blind perspective. We want to judge the application, not the person associated with that. And so we found a couple of really good applications that did not correspond to real people. And so, we're going to be taking additional measures as we go through the future to engage with that. So that's part of the challenge, right? You'd hope that in 2024 that folks would be honest about a scholarship program. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So we learned some lessons this year, and they were hard lessons to learn, but we think that they make the organization better and stronger. So dropping into operational maturity, I think that there's a couple of things that we've done this year to really kind of increase our operational maturity. We've got a locked-in meeting schedule for the very first time. All of our board, meetings for the rest of this year and for the early part of next are already locked in. We've got our first board retreat scheduled for February, and that's a big part of where we're going. We've also invested in some tools. We're now Notion customers. We've also embraced a new CRM tool called Bloomerang that's going to really help us kind of build for the future and have great relationship management with our donors and with our members. So we've also been working on new processes for policies, and we've adopted the modern rules of order. Who here has heard of Robert's Rules of Order? You might have seen the book. It's about that thick. We've adopted a much more streamlined meeting process that I think is going to help us grow and be effective without the overhead necessarily of awful, huge processes. But we are still going to have a very formal process. We've also got policies and documentation for the first time, and really kind of an improved focus on fundraising. With that said, I do want to talk a little bit about our financial status. And our balance as of the 11th of July was $251,365. And then we got this invoice from our friends at Slack. And if anybody wants to pay this on our behalf, I would certainly allow you to write down the contract number, document sequence, and account and everything, and just pay that bill for us. That would be totally right. No, I'm kidding. We've already paid this bill, but we're expecting a bigger one next year. So after paying for Slack this past year, we were around $191,000 in the bank. We're doing a lot of management. We're trying to stay ahead of the growth. We're trying to stay ahead of the platform, because if you really look at it, this is the number of people that are on Slack today. This is the number of people yesterday who had an account on the MacAdmin Slack. Just over 70,000 people. That's a lot of accounts. If we look at it from a perspective of active members, this is the active member account for the last month, which is 9,761, just shy of 10,000 people who've logged in once a month at least to, participate in the process. And so we are recognizing that we're going to have a bill in excess of $100,000 next year. And that's a real challenge for us. And so that's where we start to lean in on fundraising. So Colin, do you want to talk a little bit about individual membership?
Yeah, so this is one of our newest initiatives, is the individual membership. We are, first and foremost, above all, we're all about the community. What we hope to do with this new program is to really provide the Mac admins community with more of a sense of ownership and a way to regularly support the foundation in whatever way they are comfortable. We've created several tiers. We've got that you can see here. We've got contributor, consistent contributor, power contributor, major, and mega. And the goal of this is that you can see that all recurring contributors, anyone who donates anything on a recurring basis, even like $1 a month, will get access to our members only store, and which has special merch and all the rewards that we have here stack. We've been seeking input from the community on the tiered structure. So you may have seen an email. Some of you may have gotten one of those emails in the past few weeks as we've been kind of building this out and developing this. But it's out there, and this is what we're looking forward to. Why is this important? Well, right now we get a lot of donations from our corporate sponsors, which is phenomenal. Rocket Man, awesome. Thank you guys. And we're immensely grateful for them and hope that they continue and we get to expand that. But it's also important for us to diversify our streams, because if we lose one of our major sponsors, we lose a lot of money, up to like $25,000 for a single one, sometimes more, depending on what the size of that sponsor is. And that's a big hit for us, especially when, our Slack bill is going to be $100,000 or more going forward. So we want to make sure that losing one sponsor won't put us in a bad situation. Having hundreds and hopefully thousands of smaller sponsors will hopefully help balance all this out. Plus, it gives us a chance, as we mentioned previously, to really give our community more of a sense of ownership. What do we need? Your support. We've done very well with your help, and thank you so much. And we want to continue. We continue to need that generous support as we work to help you individually and the community as a whole. That said, contributions will never be mandatory. We want to make sure that it's very clear that even when we roll out this membership program, this is just more of a way to help thank those publicly who have been a part of supporting us, and less so of like, hey, this is now a walled gateway. We don't ever want that to be the case. That's not our goal. That's not our plan. It never will be. Our Slack is always going to be free. We're never going to charge anyone for it. The contributions are just a nice way to support the foundation and allow us to maintain the Slack instance in perpetuity. Other benefits of it, or other ways you can do it, is some companies have benevolence programs or charitable giving programs where if you donate through a platform, they'll match your donation. If your company has that, we'd love to hear from you. If you're interested in donating, they may be able to do match donations. That helps double your dollars in many senses. That's really what our next steps are. We're looking to constantly grow and improve what we have to offer. And so everything that y'all can do, whether it's just being involved in MacAdmin's open source, being involved in the Slack community, helping others grow, being in the mentorship program, or contributing financially, or all of the above, is absolutely valuable to this community. And so just even being part of these meetups is huge, and that's another focus that we do have coming down the pipe that we're working
Mhm.
on is helping empower these meetups. We want to make sure that we empower the meetups, we empower the community to really get to know each other. And so, yeah, Tom, you can go to the next slide. This is our QR code for Bonfire for our web store, and then we may have a little bit of time for Q&A.
Yeah, looks like we do. And thanks, Colin. And, I think that the really important part of all of this is we'll have a lot more to say about the member program and some of the unique merch that's going to be coming out as part of that later this year. You can get great shirts like this one on the Mac and Men's Foundation Bonfire store. So please, if you want to support the foundation, it's the equivalent of a donation to the organization. We deeply appreciate it. We've got some really clever shirts there, as well as some other merch. I have it's getting on towards fall here, so I have a really sweet beanie waiting for me when the weather turns. So I'm ready. I believe they call it a toque if we were in Canada. But I have a great hat for the winter, and it's a really important way to support the foundation. So we deeply appreciate our friends at Rocket Man who have really kind of paved the way and are standing at the forefront of the Mac and Men's community by backing the organization. So we deeply appreciate it. And I think that's the future of the platform together is all of us, and we look forward to being a part of that for the long term here at the Mac and Men's Foundation.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Colin. The appreciation streak goes both ways. We truly believe that in the Mac admins world, better together is always the best way forward. So it's awesome to have you both on here. And yeah, we have a couple of minutes. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw those out there.
We got a question from Joseph or from Gavin Cook in the chat asking if we considered moving to Discord since the fees Slack is charging are crazy.
Yes, we have considered that. Discord remains a chat product. That is correct. It's part of the lineup that's out there. Our people are on Slack. And, I was going to say Discord oftentimes is banned from corporate devices. I've seen my company doesn't allow me to have Discord installed.
Mine does not either.
On my work machine. And that would mean I couldn't participate and do my job there. So that is a bummer. So I was going to say, we continue to work with Slack. We've now got a relationship manager within the organization, as well as access to some of their folks on the nonprofit side. We're hoping to get grants to make that better. But we certainly see this as an important part of the future of the organization. Will we stay with Slack forever? Absolutely not. But we continue to see it as an important tool that's in our arsenal today.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, guys, I think we often take for granted the things we have, but I think it's truly amazing that we have a space where everyone can talk and discuss these things that isn't owned by any entity in particular. So thank you, Tom, and everyone at the Mac Admins Foundation for taking the lead on this and making sure. I'm sure there's lots of billion-dollar companies that would love to take control of these 70,000 users. So I think it's amazing that we're keeping it kind of in a nonprofit type fashion and not owned by any specific MDM or entity.
Well, and that's one of the other things that we really treat as a value is that, we have board members from all over the place. We have board members from Jamf, we have board members from JumpCloud, we have board members from all over the space. And we have, a lot of different board members who are mostly not in the business side of those businesses. They're practitioners, because we come from a community of practitioners. There was a whole migration of a lot of people into, different spaces in the organizations, but all of us are firmly independent. We are firmly, we're not, you can't buy us. And I think that's the message. And of course, when we go and we have the great conversations with our sponsors, there is just an overwhelming generosity from all of the major donors of the Mac Admins Foundation. And I do want to say, a huge thanks to our friends at the macadmins.org in thanks. This is an amazing list of companies. Our major sponsors: Adigy, CrowdStrike, Jamf, JumpCloud, Kanji, Collide, now 1Password, MacPaw, Meta, Mosel. NextThink is one of our newest. Simple MDM is a longtime sponsor. And of course, organizations like Rocket Man, Electrona, Bootstrappers, HCS Technology Groups, the Mac Admins Podcast, Macaduck, PDQ, and Second Son. These are the organizations who make it possible for us to pay those bills now. And we're deeply in their debt. And we say a huge amount of thanks to all of them for their crucial and joyful support of the Mac Admins community. These are not painful conversations when we go to do our fundraising. It is a conversation of old friends in a lot of ways.
And a lot of times they're reaching out to us.
Yeah, they're reaching out to us to be like, hey, we think we're due. We think we're due for a renewal, and we'll just cut you an invoice. Sure, fantastic, wonderful, love that. So Bruce makes a very good point. I can't be bought, but I can be rented at reasonable rates. I love that. We have a great partnership with our friends at Apple. And, they are very sensitive to the community and not wanting to buy the community. And we weren't even able to put their logo on our website to say thank you for sponsoring that first round of certificate program deals. Because they're like, no, we're just going to fade into the background. That's just fine. We're here to support the community. And, I want to say a huge thanks to all of the folks in product marketing over there who understand how important this community is and have worked tirelessly to support it behind the scenes with no thanks. And
they've been hiring from the community and using the knowledge of the community to help make things better. Several of Eric Boyd has moved on from the community over to the Apple side and has done everything in his power to really improve the enterprise products for what we use. And so they very much are receptive, and they're a fantastic partner, being very active within the community as well.
All right. Well, that is the hour. We don't want to take too much more of everybody else's time. Tom, Collin, thank you both so much for joining us. And then also always a huge thank you to everyone who spent some time with us this Friday. We appreciate it. You all make up the community what it is. So if you're going to be at JNUC, make sure you stop by. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. Other than that,
come see us as well. We'll have a booth on the foundation on the floor of the trade show. Collin will be there. I will sadly be at a different conference that week on another continent. But we will have half of the board will be there at JNUC this year. So come by and say hi.
Thank you for saying that, Tom. I'm a terrible host for not mentioning that. Definitely stop by at JNUC and see all of your friends. Amazing community. Thank you all so much. We'll see you all next month at JNUC. Have a great weekend. Go Pack Go.
Thank you for joining us today. We have new episodes on the first Friday of every month. If you'd like to join our session live, visit the link in the description to get on our mailing list. And if you're looking to get the most out of your Jamf server, visit rocketman.tech to set up a meeting with one of our Jamf experts. That's rocketman.tech.